hearing that was underway in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court has said the argument is full of passion, but there's little substance. In fact, the Supreme Court has told the petitioners the argument lacks substance. In fact, they've also once again asked why no claims and objections have been made, why no appeals from any so-called aggrieved parties. Remember, contrary to some reports, there were cases in MP and Rajasthan that were said by the opposition bloc, and the S.I.R said they're not linked and should not be combined. That is what is coming in. Let me quickly go across to Harish, my colleague who was tracking this entire proceeding in the top court. Harish, take us through the arguments, the details, and of course now the top court saying that these arguments by the opposition bloc hold no substance.
Yes, that's right. The Supreme Court expressed surprise that Advocate Prashant Bhushan, who had appeared for Association for Democratic Reforms on the direction of the court, had filed 20 affidavits, he claimed, from aggrieved persons who have been left out of electoral rolls. But those affidavits, the Election Commission said there are many discrepancies also regarding the old dates in them, and also why it was given across the bar. That is, the court, it should have been given at least yesterday, so that the Election Commission could have in fact responded to it. So the court found merit in these arguments and said that we are not in the business of inquiring. Those sides in front of us should have satisfied us. Supreme Court telling petitioners that your argument is full of passion, little of substance. Tell us what you have done to help the voters, what your BLAs, booth level agents, have done to help the voters. As he once again asked, why no claims or objections also? Why no appeal from any so-called aggrieved? Election Commission said those who want to file appeal should do fast. After 5 days, doors will be closed. That is, 5 days before nomination, doors will be closed. No claims or objections. Nor any appeals can be filed. Election Commission said no individual coming forward and saying that they are not being allowed to file appeal, rather than these opposition parties and NGOs are creating hue and cry before the court. Election Commission of India told Bhushan must be asked from where he is getting all these affidavits. There are discrepancies. Remember, last hearing also, Supreme Court had slammed petitioners, NGOs and opposition parties for continuing to raise doubts on the final list without furnishing enough material. The Supreme Court had said that this, when Election Commission of India said not one person out of the 4 petitioners was claiming wrongfully 3.66 lakh deleted filed a complaint, except NGOs and parties raising a hue and cry. So Supreme Court had very clearly last time also said that Supreme Court that you should furnish enough material, at least some material, so that some illustrative material, so that we can act upon. So Supreme Court said, I know it will be difficult for you to sit in Delhi. This you get from the field. Give us some more material. Bring before us some genuine aggrieved person. But even now, even as we speak, hearing is going on, the petitioners and the opposition parties have not been able to satisfy the court. Back to you.
You know, which is what I was coming to next, Harish. What was the response, the argument that was then presented by the petitioners when the Supreme Court asked them about evidence, more substance, and of course the fact that they still haven't filed any objection despite making the kind of noise that they have? Yes,
Advocate Prashant Bhushan went on to say that we have got things are happening very quickly. Almost every second day there is a Supreme Court hearing. We need more time to collect the affidavits and bring more material. And also, Prashant Bhushan said that the Supreme Court had recently deployed National Legal Service Authorities, paralegal volunteers. So they should also be deployed in this exercise, like helping the voters, approaching the voters, helping them to file claims and objections, helping them to file appeals. But to this, the Election Commission of India has objected, with senior advocate Rakesh Trivedi saying that now they are trying to put everything on the court to deploy paralegal volunteers, because they themselves don't have any evidence.
All right, Harish, stay with me. I'm going to also go across to Pragya, who's joining us. Pragya, yet another setback for the opposition. Not the first time that the Supreme Court has asked for evidence for the kind of claims that they are making. We'll have to, of course, wait and watch how they respond to the top court's remarks, because the Supreme Court has been very clear. Give us more evidence. We're not going to go on ground and examine. You're the ones who are making these claims, so back it up with evidence.
Well, one thing is very clear that as far as S.I.R. concerned, Supreme Court goes on fact, and this is exactly the reason why they asked the petitioners not to be sentimental and passionate about it, but to produce evidence. Because Supreme Court, if they decide anything, if they give verdict, they will decide on the basis of fact. And this is exactly what they have been saying. And the fact that there has been no appeal filed till now under Section 24A of Representation of People's Act. The CEO of Bihar also has put out on the social media that there have been no appeals despite addition and deletion and narrative of the political parties. Supreme Court also raised this particular concern that there has been no appeal. If someone is aggrieved, they should have filed the complaint and appeal at least, if not once, twice, but there has been no appeal. This has been also
That's right. And, Pragya, that is something that the opposition needs to answer on, why they haven't still filed a claim, filed an objection. And that is something that the top court of the country is also now asking them. Pragya and Harish, thanks very much for joining us at the moment, getting us more from the Supreme Court hearing on S.I.R. that is still underway. Shifting our focus